Yeah, welcome to this video. In this video, we're talking about CSS pseudo classes. Okay, so I want to let me write something in my CSS files to quickly explain what pseudo class looks like. Okay, first of all, you have your selector. You have a selector. Medium just I'll still comment it later. You have your selector. You have your selector. Then you have a colon. Then you have your pseudo. Pseudo, I think the spelling is correct here. I have pseudo class. Let me do it this way. Then you have your declaration block, you have your property. Let me say property. This is just you have your property. Then you have your value here. Okay, so then you now put your semicolon. This I will still comment this thing out. Okay, but let me do it now because this line I don't like. Let me comment it out. Okay, so this, as you're looking at it now, this is a pseudo class. This is where you find pseudo class. After the name of the selector, then once there's a colon before the declaration block, you know that that thing inside there is a pseudo class. Okay, you know that that thing is a pseudo class. Okay, we'll leave this comment here. Then let's create our simple HTML structure. Shift to okay. Then inside this place, yeah, inside this place now, what will I do now? I would like to use div. I'll use button, and I'll also use paragraphs. I think it will make sense. Or should I will let me leave div, or should I leave that div? Okay. Let me just, I want to make use of three things. Okay, which is very common. Okay. And let me say inside this place, let me use the what is it called? The element, but the element button element. So let me say button. Okay, this button. I want to have another element. I want to have here. I want to have p tag. Okay, then the next one I want to have div. But is I just want to use it for illustrations. Okay, okay. Inside the button, let me just say click me. Let me just so it will be visible in the output in the browser. Let me refresh. You can see the click me button. Okay, that's having said that. Let me also add some letters to the paragraph. Let me use random one, something like okay, let me use a normal word. Let me say hello. Uh, hello everyone. Hello. Let me use hello everyone. Using this hello everyone. Should I add another thing? Hello everyone. Let me just say welcome to our website. Let me just do it as though it's a website. Welcome to our website. Our Okay. Welcome to our website. Let me use block letter uppercase for this website. Website. Okay. I think I've written that. Then what the next thing I will do, I will use div. Okay, by this div now we'll add its property and value inside our CSS selector. Okay, so inside this place now, let me connect our external CSS. Let me say link. If you don't know how to link your CSS file, watch my video on watch my CSS insert. You understand how all these things are done. Slash. Okay, so CSS file is now connected. Okay, let me start with uh div. Okay, since the div is at the bottom, let me bring it up. Let me cut it and bring it up here. Let me bring it up here. Okay, now so I will start with that div. Say div. This is an element selector for now, so I want to use the element selector and give it its property. After giving it its own property, and you will see the effect on the browser, then I will scroll down and then make use of pseudo classes. So you see the effect of pseudo classes in those elements, in these three elements. So I will now open declaration block. Inside that, let me give the div width. Let me give it width. Let me give it 40 pixels. It will be very small. and then let me give it a height of, let me give 40 by 40 and see how it looks like. Let me say 40 pixel again. You will not see it here because I've not added background color. What is spacing is shifting this thing, showing that there's something here. So to make it visible, I'll use a color. Let me use a background color. Background color of let me say I like that golden, not golden rod. I say golden lodge. Okay. Okay, let me give space between the div and the button. Let me put BR here. Break line. BR. Okay. Then also put that BR here. BR. Okay. So I think there will be space between them. Okay, I think this div is too small. This our div is small. Let me make it 150 by 150 and see how it looks like. I think this one will make a little bit sense. Let me make it 150 by 150. I think it's now very visible. Okay. Now the next thing I want to give, let me give our click button some property and value. Say button. Remember we are using element selector, the name of the element, and then you now give it its property and value that you want. Then inside this place, let's give it color. Let me give the text inside the button. This text now click. Let me give it a different color, and then give the aside button a different color. Let me give it a color of let me give it aqua. This has a decimal ff no 0ff. Okay, and then let me give it a background color of which color will match this ff. Now I think if I use black now, let me see how it will look. Let me see how it will look like. A background color, let me give it black and see how it will look like. Black. Let me see how it looks like. Okay, you can see that I think this one makes more sense to me. Then this button, let me increase the should I increase the size of the button? Let me give it width. Is width the right thing to do? I think let me try and see what that is the best thing to do. Let me say 20 pixel. No. 20 pixel. How about 200 pixel? If I do this now, okay, the button is too big. Let me make it say 80. Let me see how it looks like. Say 80. I just want to increase the size of the, not 800 but 80. Let me see how it looks like. It's getting a little bit, a little bigger. Then let me add the height. I want to make the height the half of the width. Okay, we'll make it 40 pixels. So I will say height inside this height. Now let me make it 40 pixels. Say 40 px. Okay, this is our button. So for me to make it to look more like button, let me just add it another property. Let me give it a border radius. So it will look more like a button. Let me just give it let me say 20% and see how it looks like. 20%. Yeah, it looks like a button. How about 10%? What would 10% look like? Yeah, I think 10% looks more like a button. Okay, let me make it 15. How about 15? Perfect. So let's not waste much time. Let's not waste our time trying to design this. Let's just head straight for what we came here to do. So let's move to our element. These are our elements. These are our paragraph elements. Let's call the p element, then open a declaration block and give it property and value. Let's just give it a font size of let me say font size let me say font size of let me say 2em and see how it looks like. It's a little bit bigger. Not, let me reduce it to, let me say 1em. How does 1em look like? 1em is just like a default. How about 1.5 em? Okay, I think it makes sense now. I think it's very a little bit visible now. So this is the only thing I will give into the test. I will not add it any color. I don't want to add any color to it. Okay. Then this our div. Let me give it a background so it will look a little bit somehow nice. Let me give it a border. I mean not background. Let me give it a border. Let me give it a border. Inside this border now, I want to give it a solid, not actually a solid. Let me give it 2 pixel of inset and see how it look like. It looks a bit nice, but it's not that visible. How about outset? I think outset might make a little bit sense. Outset, but it's not visible. It's not visible. Let me give it a color and see how it will look like. Let me give it azure. Let me give it azure color, the border azure color, and see how it will look like. It's even more worse. How about giving it something like brown? No, not brown. Brown can match with this one. Let me say something like choc. No, 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 no. Let me give it green. Yeah, green makes sense. Or lemon green. Okay, I think it's now a little bit visible. Then by using this green, I'll use insert. So let me see how that insert will look like. Insert. Okay, I think it is now a little bit visible. Let me increase the pixel. So it's 3 pixel. How about 4 pixel? I want it to be very visible. Okay, so I want it to be visible. It's very nice now. Okay, so to our back to our pseudo class. So I want to let me shift this screen so I have enough space for CSS. We're done with HTML. Okay, now inside our CSS folder, inside our CSS file now, we will not want to apply a pseudo classes and see how they look like. Okay, so now what we're going to do now is we're going to scroll down. Remember what I said here earlier in this video. First of all, you have your selector. After the selector, you have this colon. Then you put your pseudo class here before you give the property. Okay, so let's go down here. Let's write our pseudo class. Let's start with the same div. So to do that, you say we first of all start with selector, and our first selector is div. This div here. Okay, we say div. We give colon. Which one we're going to start? Let's start with let's say hover. When I hover over this div, something will happen. So a hover is a pseudo class. A hover is a pseudo class. Okay, then you now open your declaration block. What do I want to happen what will happen when I hover over this div? Okay, let me say I want to increase the font size to double of its size, or I want to reduce it. Let me know the size so I can actually do that. Our div, this is our div. Okay, I want to reduce the width and the size. I want to reduce it automatically to 75 to the half of this. So just reduce it by 2. Okay, then there's nothing much again. I'm not tampering with the color but let me just do only that. These two things. I can add more properties if I want, but let me do this. Let me say the property that will show the hover when the mouse hover over the div. Let me say width 75, which is half of that pixel, 75 pixel. Okay, then we have our height. We have our height. Let me make it also 75 pixels. 75 pixels. Okay, now let's hover over this our div and see what will happen. You can see once we bring our mouse close to it, it's automatically reduce its size. Just compress its size to 75. Okay, so let's do the same thing in let me do the same thing with button. So button is a selector, then you put our colon, then the next thing is to put our pseudo class, which is hover. Say hover. Okay, then this thing should stop this. Then we now put not here, not inside. Let's say hover, then we will now put our, this thing should stop disturbing me now. Don't need this yeah. Then we'll now open our declaration block. Then our button, what value do we give to our button? We give our button 80 by 40 pixel. So I want to double the button's width and size whenever I hover over it. So I'll be doing it 16 by 80. Okay, 16 by 80. So I will say width, not 16, 160, not 16, 160, 160 pixel. And then I will do height of 80. Then I'll say the height will be 80 pixel. Okay, so I've added this pseudo class. Let's see the effect on the button. If you come to this button now, you see it doubles the size and the width. No, the height is not, I'm not forget to put pixel. Yeah, you can see now it doubles the two dimension of the button, the width and the height. It's 160 by 80. Okay, now let's do for um paragraph elements. Paragraph select, which is element selector. Then we'll now add colon. After this our colon, we add the pseudo class, which is hover. There are a lot of pseudo classes. There are many, so depend on what you want to do with your pseudo classes, the effect that you want to have on your elements. Okay, let's do the same thing here. I want, when I hover over these letters here, this what's it called, this test here, it will also have effect of increasing its size or anything. So let me check what I did to the normal one. I give it 1 em, which is font size. So I will only use that font size. I can even add colors. Okay, let me add that color in the pseudo class as well. So let me make the font size, let me say font size, let me make the font size double of that 1.5 em. Okay, which is going to be 3 em. Say 3 em. Okay, let's bring our mouse to it. You see the difference. You see it doubles its size times 2. Okay, I want to also add some colors. When I hover over it, the color will be added. When I remove my mouse, it disappears. Let me add the color, test color. Let me say color. Inside this color now, let me give it a color that is more visible. Let me use blue color. I think blue will be very visible here. Okay, let's hover and see what happens. You can see that this is the effect of hover color. This is the effect of the hover color. It's the effect of hover color, not, yes, hover on the element, paragraph. Okay, let me just add some transition so that it will not just do like this. To just kind of, this thing is not good. So let me just add some animation to it, kind of a transition duration, so that as it's transforming to another hover property, it will display some it will slow down and show something like act like an animation. Okay, let's do div. Let's give a div. Let's give div transition duration. Let me open this. This is not part of in fact, I'll put it down because it's not part of what we are doing. What we are doing is pseudo class. Okay, but what I want to do, I just want to add additional effect to the what is it called, to the elements when they are transforming to pseudo classes. So let me give div a transition. Let me give it a transition duration. Here is it. Okay, let me give it 3 seconds, 3 seconds, and see the effect. You can see that if I hover over it, is not acting like a bug now. It's now behaving like something that has sense. You can see that. Okay, now let me also add let me duplicate this and then change only the let me duplicate this and just change only the elements. Okay, this video is taking so long. Let me just fast. We have button, then we have our, this thing should stop interfering. Then we have our p, which is our paragraph. Okay, so all of them will now, each one, anyone that I hover over, it will it will it will just change to the pseudo. It will just inherit the pseudo property and value, but it will not just do it very fast. It will just take slow motion sort of animation to do it. So let's start with div. You can see that this div, you can see how it will turning. Then how about button? Let's try button. You can see button. Okay. Then how about the test? You can see the test how it's growing. Okay, that is how to do pseudo. So we have a lot of pseudos. We have a lot of, so I can mention some of them, but just read it or search for pseudo classes. Not search for pseudo classes. There are a lot of them you can use to do a lot of things. You have active, we have checked pseudo, the ones that I can remember. Just make your research, you will find a lot of them. We have active pseudo class, we have checked pseudo class, we have disabled, we have empty pseudo class, we have enabled, we have first class, first child pseudo, we have focus, we have hover. This hover, which one, the one which we did now. Also, we have in range, we have invalid, we have a lot of them. Just make your research uh, and find out where you use them in what you are doing. Okay, so I hope I have make a little bit sense here. Okay, so that is it for pseudo class. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.